Bree Stevens here with Lake Life Realty, and I am here with the owner of Lighthouse Contracting Group, Jeremy Doucet, again for another home improvement series video. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
As you can see, we are on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee here in Laconia, not far from the Weirs as well. So just got to the property. It's gorgeous. We're great weather to show it off, and we're excited to see some of the before and after and during photography that you have. But tell us a little about how this project came to be. How did the client find you?
So they found us via Google search, and we started working together about a year ago, working through the design and planning process. And he had previously had a shoreline permit in place for the lower deck down on the water, so everything else was being replaced in kind, so that was fortunate. And we were somewhat limited on what we could use for materials because this is an association. It's kind of a unique and interesting property where this unit in particular was the primary residence on the property previously, and the previous owner added on, 30 plus condos, so it became an association. So although these structures that we rebuilt are private structures, they are part of an association. So all the materials that we used were all approved by the association. And one of the interesting things we had to work around, they wanted us to use 5-inch AZAC railings, but there's so much railing here that really wasn't going to lend itself to creating a great space here, because it would have taken away a lot of space having such a big railing system. So we showed them some alternatives, and what we landed on is this Westbury aluminum railing system, which we are big fans of. We use it on many of our projects because it's a great, durable, cost-effective product. And so once we kind of got through the process with the association, it was just kind of finalizing the details with the client, and then we were ready to build. So this summer, well, right before summer, our plan was to be done for June 1st. We ran into some issues with some of the framing and the gazebo. It took us, another week and a half longer or so, but we were essentially here for the month of May. It's a good sized structure. There's like 2,600 square feet of deck here, and it's approximately 280 feet of railing, which is a lot to work through. So.
And when you say the challenges you had to face, those supply issues, as well as, I know you mentioned the gazebo, you had to do some things and troubleshoot with the existing footprint and the elements of it being right on the water. Yeah,
of course. I mean, we were doing a pretty good sized deck at peak deck season, so it was challenging to come up with enough product, which was, I was buying about 6-8 weeks in advance to make sure we had enough product. The railings too, I purchased about 8-10 weeks in advance to make sure we had what we needed. And it's a big structure, so I went through the list a few times to make sure that I had it right. And fortunately, we had the parts that we needed. And the gazebo, once we got into it, we knew it was kind of falling in the water. But once we peeled back all the existing skirting finishes and decking and all that, we realized just what kind of shape it really was in. And so it needed a lot of work. So teamed up with some, an engineer and some colleagues to, we can all scratch our heads and figure out how do we save this thing, because the water splashes right up against the structure. So we had to by hand rebuild the rock wall that's keeping the waves from splashing up against the foundation. And there's a bunch of steel, concrete, and framing underneath that thing, all working together to keep it sturdy. So, and it's their favorite feature of the whole property because it's on the water, and it will seat 12, 14 people. So. So they're really glad we were able to save it and they can still use it.
Yeah, very special and unique to have a feature like that on the water for a property.
For sure.
They won't let you do that much these days.
No, so if you lose it, you wouldn't get it back.
Right.
It was critical to keep it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then tell us a little bit more. We were talking about the special features, about what you did with different rails and lighting systems. What do people see when they get here as far as the extra detail?
So yeah, the railing is the Westbury, Tuscany series throughout, but on this grilling deck here is what we call this section. It has a cocktail rail, so it's got the flat board on top, so you can set your drink there. So that's really just a matter of instead of the railings going post to post, like it is on the rest of the deck. This is what they call a crossover style, so the top rail runs over all of the posts, and then you put this adapter on and make the drink rail to go on top, which is nice. So they would have loved for it to have been everywhere, but of course there's added cost, and it doesn't lend itself to being on stair sections because you need a graspable rail on stair sections as you climb stairs. The other cool feature, we have a bunch of low voltage lighting. So down here on the grilling deck, there's all of the, the posts on the lights on the posts, and then we have riser lights on all of the steps as well. So those are all controlled by a smart Wi-Fi control that's kind of synced up with Doucet on and whatever you set for, for a schedule for it.
Yep. Very functional, makes sense, not just for looks, but also the use is important.
But low voltage lighting in the evening looks awesome on a deck. It definitely adds to.
And safety.
The ambiance. Yes, safety of course being at least the third priority.
Yeah, of course. Now, for the project, what would you say now that it's been completed, the client's been able to enjoy it, what's been the feedback that they've given you?
Oh, they love it. I mean, this was in pretty rough shape. It was about 30 plus years old. It was in really rough shape. It was an eyesore really, and they'll admit to that as well. It was time, and it was a big undertaking. It's a good sized structure here. So, and they spend all their time out here. This property, sleeps 22, 24 people easily, and their whole family gathers here every single day of the summer. This place is utilized. So they spend a lot of time out here. Even when we came back to get pictures, it was, there was always people hanging out here. So they definitely love this grilling deck down here, because they spend a lot of time here in the sun, and then the gazebo, of course, at night. So, and they love the drink rail and the low voltage lighting, because there was some lighting on the previous structure, but it never worked right. It never worked well, so they didn't use it, and now everything works as it should, and it's a great accent too.
Awesome, perfect. Well, I appreciate you meeting and sharing this with us and our followers.
Yeah.
And be sure to reach out to Jeremy and his team at Lighthouse Contracting Group for any remodeling needs. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.